Justin, as you might well know, the businessmen of Margate are up in arms because they say the cycle challenge was badly organized, or not badly organized, but there was a big problem with communication and they lost thousands of rands. And in conversations with them, they say, look, we have a CEO of Ugu South Coast Tourism and he should have done something about this. Now, what is your reaction to that?
I think we've got to look at the actual ownership and the contractual side of the event. Hibiscus Coast Municipality has its own internal tourism department with its own budgets and its own personnel, and they have arranged a number of events off their own bat through that particular part of their operations. We, as the district municipality entity, are not directly involved in that at all. We have no financial input, we have no contractual input, and the relationship for that particular event was through Hibiscus Coast Municipality and the organisers, which I understand is Cycling KZN. Certainly for events that we do get involved with, which may involve Margate, Africa Bike Week being one, we do upfront have public participation meetings so we can specifically inform businesses and interested stakeholders as to the logistics of the event. My interpretation thus far is that perhaps HCM didn't necessarily follow that process as they ought to have. I think they will be able to respond to that accordingly. But I will not accept that we are directly responsible for that particular situation. And for that reason, this is why I reiterate that when we do get directly involved in events like that, we make sure that there's a public participation process. Hibiscus Coast do have, should we say, going forward, SA Open Women's Golf, for example. They are the main investors in that event. We have a peripheral involvement in that one particularly. But in this instance, as far as the logistics are concerned, particularly when it had to do with traffic, my belief is that obviously the experts in the traffic department could have foretold that there was a possibility of maybe this would preclude certain businesses of not doing a turnover. So it is a tricky one, but I think the main respondent as far as the accusation part of it is in fact Hibiscus Coast.
Yeah, you see, the critics, one might understand it because it's a perception, because they don't know what you've just said. They say that you are the CEO of South Coast, of the overall Ugu tourism, and that there should be a system in place whereby you should prevent something like this happening. So isn't it a question of a flaw in the system then maybe?
Well, yes and no. Hibiscus Coast Municipality do have a events committee, of which we have observer status, but the final decisions in terms of some of those decisions are taken within the full representatives of that committee. We also have an area committee forum which I chair, which events normally come through them. This particular event didn't come through that system, so if it's a communications element to it, I would have thought, yes, there should be a, should we say, a stronger relationship between ourselves and the Hibiscus Coast Municipality as far as that is concerned. So, yes, if there's an it's my belief it is more of a logistical one rather than perhaps a process one. I mean, the logistics is A, the closing off of the roads, and B, from the point of view of process, yes, we should have been incorporated at a more significant level in terms of potential. But there are other organisations that are also representing the interests of the business community in Margate, and it's not just our area committee, but it's also the MBA, for example, and others. And the simplest thing is to have a public meeting, as we normally do when we do, for example, Bike Week.
Is it then fair to say, based on what you've just said, and the criticism that you have been getting, that you will make damn sure in future that it doesn't happen like that?
I've already sent a communication to the municipal manager of Hibiscus Coast. In fact, it went through yesterday, because I've been getting a lot of emails as well and responding to them accordingly. And I've already sent a letter to the MM voicing distinctly, A, that when there's a closeout report pertinent to the Hibiscus Coast event, that we are in attendance with Margate Business Association and other stakeholders, so that there's an assessment of what their reaction is to the actual content of the report, and going forward, should that event or other events for that matter take place, that process is actually well up front within the planning process for such events, so that people can't after the fact moan. They have an opportunity to have their inputs as constructive as they can be, and thereafter, a case of, the process was followed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.